friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Becky, and today we're going to be addressing my most common TikTok comments relating to ballet. I thought this might be a little boring to film just like against my wall because it's going to be a lot of like the question, the answer, like interview style. So I am going to go for stretch, like to be stretched professionally. I don't know. So I'm just getting ready to go for stretch. So I thought it's going to be like a get ready with me / I'm going to answer or address the most commonly asked TikTok comments. I get a lot of repeat comments on my TikTok asking or referring to similar things, or just repetitive questions about adult ballet, the process, my point shoes, classes, all that kind of stuff, using Apollo's Choice primer. So I thought I'm like answering, I think, the same questions almost every day. So I thought it just makes more sense to like make a video about those questions and direct people here instead. But if you have a question that I have not answered at this video, please leave a comment down below in regards to adult ballet, plus size ballet, starting ballet as an adult, anything like that I can help you with or that you're curious about, and I'd be more than happy to make a part 2. You can also head over to my TikTok, which is the same handle. It's Becky Ray 14, I think, for more adult ballet content. I post there almost every day, twice a day, and it's normally ballet related stuff if it's not book stuff. Okay, so like I said, I've already done skincare today, and I just did the Paula's Choice primer. I actually stole this from my mom. It's a smoothing primer with SPF 30, and it's good for all skin types, but it is like an oilier consistency, so I am going to powder it down to get a little bit more grip and matte finish. Okay, so most of the questions I wrote down on my phone, so I do have them written here for me to read, so I will be reading them here and then answering them. Hopefully that makes sense. So our first question, and this one says, I'm a little chunky and I know ballet messes up your toes anyway, but I'm worried about extra damage I could do due to being bigger. Now here's the thing. No teacher, not a one, well, that I have learned to be a lie, but no responsible teacher, let's say, is going to put you in point shoes without you being both physically strong enough, technically strong enough, and ready to be in point shoes, right? So like the core of her question is being chunky and thinking that ballet is going to mess up your feet. You'll be fine. A lot of the ballet dancers you see with like really messed up feet, one, either came from a time period where it's encouraged to have nothing in your shoes, like just your feet in your shoes. And some people prefer that, some people like that. But there's a lot more education, science, research, investment in point shoes, in point shoe padding, in spacing, in fitting of your point shoes. So your shoes are going to be comfortable. Like for me, my shoes are comfortable. Yes, point where it can be uncomfortable, it should never be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. And the people you see with like, I don't know, like open weeping blisters or just like really damaged feet are normally professionals who are in their shoes 40 to 60 hours a week for 10 to 12 hours at a time. Like they are putting a lot of work and a strain on their shoes, and they actually take really good care of your feet. The way your feet look coming directly out of the point shoe, they're going to be a little red, a little swollen, whatever. You may have a blister or two, but that does not reflect what your feet look like 20 minutes later, like when they've had time to like expand and they're not like crunched into a shoe. It's kind of like if you went hiking for a long period of time, the way your feet look coming out of your hiking boots is not the same as your feet is going to look an hour later, right? So I think like your body size or your weight should not be an indicator for whether or not you think you'd be able to get on point or wear point shoes. What you need to be thinking about instead is, how can I take care of my feet? So I wear a molded toe pad. let me show it to you. I wear these perfect fit molded toe pads. I have two pairs, one that's molded a little thicker and one that's a little thinner. It is molded to my toes and fits in my point shoe to fill any extra space, so I don't really get many blisters. I'm currently getting blisters on my pinky toe, but that's for a different reason. And if your shoes are fit properly, they should be comfortable enough for you to work in. So I don't really think, yeah, like you're gonna do extra or additional damage just because you're bigger. A responsible teacher and a responsible and good fitter is going to make sure you're fine. So don't worry about that. I'm not gonna do a foundation today. I recently bought this tinted brand. It's called like the Hugard tint. It's just a tinted foundation, but it's an SPF 50 and it's a mineral sunscreen. So I've been using this, especially as the weather gets hotter. I'm currently in the US in the South, so we're already into like warm sunny days, you know what I mean? Okay, question number 2. Where do you buy leotards? I always struggle to find my size, and when I do, they're really expensive. So my favorite leotards are currently from Suffolk, but they do not go into very large sizes. I wear a large size in the Suffolk leotards. I also have a couple cap sleeves from Capezio and some from Dancewear Solutions, I think, and Sodança. Sodança, to my knowledge, is like a Brazilian brand. So typically a lot of their leotards have a more forgiving bust, and most of the time where I need space is in my bust. Another thing to consider with your leotards is the shape of the leotard. I have really delicate shoulders, like they really like just drop. So a lot of the times what's gonna first happen to me is it's gonna slide off my shoulder. So I look for something that's not going to be wider. Like the placement is not going to be wider. And personally, I have like, I don't know, like back chub here. So the V-shaped leotards in the back are going to like catch on my body and not going to be able to pull up to a place where I find comfortable. So I also look for leotards that are like a U shape. That's not a U, but like a U shape in the back, because they will fit comfortably and pull up comfortably. And I don't look for anything that's going to just be held on by the shoulder or around the arm, because they will slide off on me. So more than just finding your size, if you're a bigger girl or a plus size girl, I would also consider going to a ballet store and trying on a bunch of different shapes and styles to see which one feels the most comfortable on your body. So for me, that tends to be something that's like higher in the neckline, and that's fine. I don't mind having my arms exposed. And then like, again, a U shape in the back, and make sure, for me, it has plenty of bust coverage and space. So I can normally get away with a large or an extra large depending on the cut and the brand. So recently on my TikTok, I commented that I've been dancing 5 days a week. And someone asked me, do you dance as a professional, because 5 days a week seems like a lot. It is a lot. I only know how to do things a lot. I am not a professional. I do ballet purely as a recreational activity, but it is something I really love the challenge of. I really love the community that I found in ballet. It's good for body positivity if you approach it, the correct way. And I've just been really enjoying it. But I am not a professional, and currently, yes, I dance. When I'm in the US, when I'm in Tennessee, I've been dancing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Saturday, I've been at the studio for about 4 hours a session. And I try to get to my studio early, and most of us also stay late. So whenever I go to ballet, I average about 2 to 3 hours in the studio. But this is the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion Liquid Foundation. It's just in a really too light of a shade for me right now. It is a peak winter shade, so I'm using it as a bit of concealer. At what age did you start ballet? So I started ballet when I was 28. I want to say 27, 28, I think 28. And I turn 31 this April. So I've only been dancing about 2.5 years. I started in October, the year I was 28, so not like right as I turned 28. And fun fact, my boyfriend signed me up for my first ballet class. He was the one that kind of encouraged me to begin this hobby. So if you want to hear more about that story, let me know. Maybe I'll do a video on like how I got into ballet and how that all started. I've got another question. The fits are incredible. Where do you shop? Again, Suffolk, Sodanza, Capezio, or Dancewear Solutions, which is a website that carries multiple retailers. But a lot of people comment on my skirts. I've had a couple skirts made recently. I bought fabric and one of my amazing friends at Ballet sewed me a couple skirts. She is ridiculously talented. And she's like, well, it was really simple, but I don't sew. So she's, to me, so impressive. And then a lot of the skirts I wear to ballet are multi-purpose. So they're like skirts or like workout skirts because my dad golfs, so occasionally we go to the driving range, I can wear them there. With the shorts underneath and pockets, they're good for playing tennis in the summer if I decide to play tennis or anything like that. I can just wear them out and about because they are skirts. So a lot of my skirts are from Target or let's see. I bought some at wait, let me just go find them. One second. Okay, I have a lot of things here, but so I have Nike Pro shorts. These are the ones with the lining, but I just cut the lining out on the inside because I don't need it. And then this is an example of a skirt that my friend made for me. It is a simple circle skirt, but it's so pretty. And I have a couple different colors of that. Then this is a skirt that I got from Nordstrom. It is the brand GB. It's an extra large. It's an example of the skirt with shorts underneath it. They have a pocket, I think on both sides, and a little zip pocket in the back if you are a runner or want to run in these or whatever. And then the majority of my skirts are actually from Gilly Hicks. Oh, I dropped one. Okay, the majority of my skirts are actually from Gilly Hicks, which is Hollister's like athletic, athleisure wear brand. So again, these are all skirts. They all have shorts underneath them. There you go. And all have pockets and they're really comfy. So I can wear these on their own, like in an outfit with a shirt or a sweater, or to ballet. And they have a bunch of different sizes. That one's like a flared pleated, and this one's like an A-line skirt. And they come in a bunch of colors. Every season, they switch up their colors quite frequently, so you can always get something new. And if I remember correctly, they're normally on sale. They normally have some color or something on sale. So instead of doing a more traditional ballet skirt, I like to do the ballet skirts because they're multi-purpose, so I can use them in other places in my life since I'm not like a professional dancer. And also a lot of the official ballet skirts, the stuff made by ballet brands, do not take into account bigger sizes. So like a large in a ballet skirt from Capezio or Block is not gonna fit me. They're not like a street size large, you know. And then since I was going through ballet clothes, this is an example of one of my favorite leotards. It's by Sodanza. It just has this little mesh lining, extra cups. You can see it's quite stretchy, particularly here in the bust. And then this is an example of the U shape in the back. You can see the bottom line makes a U as opposed to a V. We're currently on the contour step. I'm using this Pink Lips contour stick in the color Cappuccino. And I'm just gonna do a little bit there, some dots on my forehead, probably under my bottom lip, just like that. How long are your classes? On average, a ballet class is going to be 90 minutes. Like a full ballet class is going to be 90 minutes. Some adult ballet classes are an hour, but that means they'll be taking certain exercises out, but that may be to compensate for the level of the class, or they might do like a second separate class if you do point work or something like that. But for the most part, my classes are 90 minutes. And then when I'm in the UK, I do a full 90-minute technique class, and then that's followed by a 30-minute point class. So that's 2 hours of class. But here at the studio that I go for in Tennessee, they are always 90 minutes, sometimes a little bit over, like an hour 45 or something like that. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's like a blush stick, and the color is Pink Dahlia. It's cute. I think it's a little subtle. This is Kimchi Chic Stage Proof Setting Spray, just to be able to blend. And the next question is a little bit of a long one, so let's blend first and then I'll get to that. Also, today I'm feeling a little bit lazy, so I'm basically doing like a 1 brush makeup. I'm using, I guess, 3 brush makeup. I'm using a little concealer blending brush, a flat powder brush, and then like a fluffy foundation brush to do all of my makeup today, because 1, my brushes need to be cleaned, and 2, I'm just feeling lazy. So this is also the makeup that we'll be wearing to ballet tonight. There we go. Okay, so the next question was kind of a long question for my TikTok, and I really appreciate that the girl who sent this in tried her best to keep her tone like relatively neutral, because I have gotten some TikToks that are a little bit like attacky and like a little bit rude, but she did a really good job. So one second, let me read this. Her handle is Elsa's Ballet and Exercise, so if you watch this video, I want you to know that specifically I'm addressing your question, and thank you so much for leaving it. It says, hi, I have a question regarding point work, and I'm realizing that part of it stems from me being jealous, so I'm trying to phrase it neutrally. I'm so curious about how the process of getting onto point works at your ballet school. I would be really interested in hearing about it. My school is Vegana based, by the way. But yeah, I'm curious at how you managed to go on point so quickly after starting. I started as an adult as well, and I'm really ambitious with my dancing, but my school still requires at least 4 years of class before letting me start point work. Even if one does several classes a week, it's actually required. Again, thank you so much for your question. So I told you guys I started ballet about 2.5 years ago, but I did take a class before for 1 whole semester, or term, I guess my high school did, in high school. Because if you weren't playing a sport, you had to take gym. And at our school, dance counted as one of the sports. So I think spring, my senior year, which is the last year of high school if you're not from the United States, I was not playing a sport. I did not want to play a sport that season, and throughout school I played varsity volleyball and varsity soccer. So I was like, you know what, I'm just tired. I'm a senior, I'm getting ready to go to college. Like, I don't have the energy for this right now. And my friend said, well, if you don't play a sport, you have to go to gym class, like actual gym class. And no one wants to do that either. Like, if you're a sporty person or played sports, like, you're not really gonna enjoy gym. So a bunch of my friends were dancing, and they said, just come to dance, like, just come to dance. And I said, okay, but I'm not a dancer. Like, I have rhythm, I have groove, but I'm not a dancer. And they're like, it's fine, you'll be fine. So I did a whole term of dance there and actually really, really enjoyed it. So that was my first experience with like studied dance. And it was a little bit of ballet, a little bit of jazz, some tap. We did like a school performance choreo thing. So when I started doing adult ballet, my boyfriend signed me up for my first class, and that progressed into other classes. So I was going twice a week to a plain technique class, no point. And at the end of that technique class, they did a little bit of point work. And I started actually in demi-point shoes, which is like a ballet point shoe, but it has no shank. It's a really soft, flexible ballet slipper with the shape of a point shoe and like a hard toe box. And I started doing that, and I stayed for all the point classes and did all the point work anyway. And fun fact, point work is so much harder in flat shoes. Like, everything you have to do on point when you do it in your flat shoes is twice as hard, I swear. So I did all of those for maybe 6 months, and I asked my teacher there, and she said, yeah, go ahead and get point shoes. She was like, yeah, I think buy your point shoes. I got fitted for my first pair of point shoes in the UK, in London, at the Block flagship store in London. And they were Block Balance Europeans, and they were a skin tone pair. One second, I'll go grab a similar pair and show you. So this is not my first pair. This is a pair from DuCon 2023, but they were the same pair. They were skin tone color of Block Balance Europeans, which is what these are, in a 7-2X. I was obsessed. I love them. And I went to point class every week, but what is not shown is that, one, the dancer I am now probably wouldn't have put me in point shoes, and two, there was not a lot of progress that first year and a half, I'd say. How do I put this? Those classes were only 15 minutes at the end of the technique class, which is not really enough time to get in like proper technique for someone who's just starting out point work, right? And the teachers I have now, and the classes I take now have definitely shown me that there's a responsible way to do that, and maybe the way that I had been given permission for my point shoes was not. So basically, I can say that, like, I don't know, to put it kindly, I was just like given point shoes. And I know there are a lot of teachers out there that just like give adults point shoes. Currently, the teacher I take from here in the US, and the teacher I take from now in the UK, point work always starts with a warm-up, specifically for the feet. To get through your shoes, there's always going to be rolling, there's going to be things, there's going to be balances. There's going to be, it's like a full bar, but in your point shoes. So it's like very specific point work, working on the strength in your inner thighs, the backs of the toes, like little things that the first year I did point work for 15 minutes or so once a week was not teaching me, was not getting. So any progress I've made in point work, I can say definitely came 100% from the teacher I have here in Tennessee. She's phenomenal, she's amazing. And the new studio I go to in the UK, where our point classes are half an hour, 45 minutes, but it's like dedicated point work. It's like a point bar and center work. And that really helped build my confidence in point shoes, and also focus on the details, little things like really rolling through your shoes, feeling the back of your toes, the squeeze in your thighs. There are like so many small details in point, and the discrepancies that you have or weaknesses that you have in flat shoes are going to become really apparent in your point shoes. There's no hiding them in your point shoes. There's no changing your balance or rotating from the outside to the inside. None of that doesn't work. So the fact that your school requires 4 years of technique is for a reason, and that's not a bad thing. And even doing the 4 years, you may progress faster, and you may be offered to take like other classes, other point classes. So I guess long story short is that me getting on point really fast came from a place, I think, slightly of negligence. But at the same time, like, I was lucky because I do already have relatively mobile ankles. I have a lot of hypermobility, so my ankles are literally like, you know, I have the foot articulation, and I have really strong ankles from playing volleyball and soccer my entire life. So that really helped me get into point shoes. Like, it wasn't as dangerous. It's just that once I got in my point shoes, the training may not have been recommended, like what I recommend. So I don't know if that answers your question super well, but the crux of the matter is, like, trust your ballet school, especially if they are like an actual ballet school and not just like a teacher you're going to whatever once or twice a week. If they're an actual ballet school and they train from like youth all the way up to pre-pro, they know what they're doing and they know what they're looking for, and they're trying to make it so that you are safe on your point shoes and that you have longevity in this hobby that you really love. Okay, another question I get asked really often, oh, by the way, I used this Glow Wish by Huda Beauty powder over my contour. So another question I get asked really often is, so pretty, curious, why the leg warmer on only one leg? Thanks. So as I mentioned before, I have hypermobility. I have a lot. I didn't realize like how bad it is, but apparently you're not supposed to like be able to look all the way over your shoulder like that. So I have hypermobility in a lot of places. My arms hyperextend, my knees hyperextend so bad, guys, all this type of stuff. But something that happened to me recently in the last year or so is I developed a bone spur on my left ankle. And that bone spur is pushing into my Achilles and causing Achilles tendonitis. So the leg warmer helps keep my Achilles much warmer. So instead of catching on that bone spur, it slides over. I have been to a doctor, I have been to a specialist. They're like, it's not really that serious. You just gotta keep your Achilles warm and long and don't let it get like too tight. So I do like a lot of heel raises, a lot of stretching on like a stair with my heels off the stairs, and I always take a yoga block to ballet so I can stretch it a little deeper than other parts of my body. On this leg in particular, my knee is also like a little more mobile, like I can feel it moving sometimes. So I normally wear a knee brace if it's really been bothering me, and not just I don't know. I normally wear a knee brace if it's been bothering me, and that is also the same leg. So the leg warmer that I always wear on my left leg is to keep both my ankle and my knee warmer to prevent additional injuries, like things that I cannot control. Sometimes I wear 2 leg warmers in the studio if I'm really stiff or if the studio is really cold, but most of the time you will always see me wearing at least 1. Let's do something blushy. I'm gonna use this Peri Para Airy Ink Velvet Lip Tint. It's like an orangey, pinky color, orangey red color, because I'm going to wear a black Leotard ballet today, but a royal blue skirt, and I think blue and orange go nicely together. Next question. I love your content. I used to do ballet when I was little for like 10 years. I can no longer afford it. Might I ask you how much the classes you're taking cost? I hope I'll be able to start again. I also hope you'll be able to start again. Like, it's really nice as an adult to reapproach and revisit things that we tried as kids or wanted to try as kids now that we have the time or the money or the passion for it. The difference between adult ballet and the kids ballet you'll see quite frequently, especially at my studio, is that the adults are super dedicated. They're there early, they stay late, they don't mind coming in for rehearsal or just to practice if there's going to be an empty open studio. Like, they're there because they want to be, not because they have to be. So your passion is like, I don't know, really expressive. My ballet classes, both here and in the UK, here they are $10 a class, which is such a good price in my opinion, and that's why I can take so many classes. They also do a punch card system where if you buy 10 classes up front, you get your 11th class free, which makes it even a little bit cheaper. And in the UK, I pay for an unlimited class pass to my ballet studio. I think it's £100 a month, and I can take as many classes as I want. And they do classes, I think, every day of the week but Sunday. And they also do other classes than just ballet. She does like progressing ballet technique, they do workshops, they do repertoire weekends where you can learn different rep, all that kind of stuff. And I think she's going to be planning on starting intensives. They're moving to a new studio location, so once that gets all settled, I think she wants to do like intensives as well. So I can take as many classes as I want there. Otherwise, for just a drop-in class, I think it's like £15 or maybe £20. But again, you can buy them in like blocks. You can buy a pack of 4, a pack of 5, and they're much cheaper than just like showing up and dropping into class. But yeah, for the most part, I found ballet classes to be between $10 and $20. So how many shoes do you need to buy each month? Currently, I do 2 pairs of shoes a month, but I keep my old shoes from the month before. So in my bag at any given time are 3 to 4 pairs of pointe shoes. I keep a dead pair of pointe shoes for technique class. On Mondays at my studio here, it's beginner ballet. So if you've never done ballet before, that's the class you come to, and it's like a much slower pace and all that kind of stuff. My ballet teacher said for those of us that come to all of her other classes that if we're showing up on Mondays and she's approved it, because you can't just do this, but if she's approved it and let you know that's okay, when you show up on Mondays to do it in your point shoes. And it's even better if you do it in like slightly dead point shoes, because it's a lot harder to it's a lot more work in dead point shoes. Your shoe is doing less lifting and less of the heavy lifting, so you really need to use your muscles. So on Mondays, I use dead point shoes to do bar and then take them off for center, because center and dead point shoes can be very dangerous. To really like work on those small muscles and small strength back of the toes, that type of thing, using my glutes to lift me as opposed to like letting my shoes lift me, all that kind of stuff. So I always have a pair of dead shoes. I have a pair of gainer Mindens that were fitted for me, but I don't love them. It's been a love-hate relationship off and on since I first got those shoes like 6 months ago. Or not even, 4 months ago. I think I got them in December, so 4 months ago. So I always have those with me. And then I have normally 2 pairs of point shoes that I like to rotate back and forth so they last a little bit longer, and then I'll jet glue them, and then I'll rotate them again until the dead pair is too dead to use, and then one of them will get rotated to the dead pair, and then I'll buy a new pair. So normally 2 pairs of point shoes a month. Okay, next question. Quick question for you. Have you tried the Nikolay Grishko stream points? Yes, I have tried the stream points. I loved them. I think they looked beautiful. The problem is they do not make them in a hard enough shank that it's worth it for me wearing them. The pair that I bought died in 2 days. And it died in both the shank and like the sole, like where your feet hit the floor here. That's where my shoe died. And it was like I don't even know how to describe that. Typically I describe dead point shoes as softened butter. Like if you leave a stick or a block of butter on your counter to like bake with it, and you can like push into it and it kind of still holds its shape but depresses. It was like that. And these shoes, when you pushed into them, like it left a dent. Like they were gone, and I only worn them for a class and a half. So unfortunately they're not for me. I even went to a fitter and told her I really liked them and asked them if they came in a harder shank, and she said they do not come in a shank that's going to be hard enough for you to wear them for a week, 2 weeks. So if I was a professional and a company was buying my shoes, yes, I would wear stream points because I could have a new pair every day. But since I'm paying for my shoes, no. I think Grishkos are beautiful though. They always look really lovely. What brand are your leg warmers? They look amazing, and it's hard to find some that don't squeeze my legs. My favorite, okay, one second. Okay, my favorite leg warmers are these ones. They are Capezio, I think the 27 inches one, and they're called Capezio Harmony. They come, I think, in black, gray, and white. A hack for if you're a bigger girl or you have thicker thighs or thick calves, like me, I have very thick calves, is to just buy a thigh-high sock. These are just thigh-high socks from Amazon. They were relatively cheap, and I just cut the toes out of them. I have a blue pair, I recently bought a yellow pair, and they work just as well as leg warmers and are actually cheaper because these were probably $10, and my Capezio leg warmers were $30. And I mean, the Capezio ones are really soft. I also have a shorter, just like calf length pair. But if you're not willing to drop big bucks on like a pair of like official leg warmers, just get a pair of thigh-high socks. Save yourself some time and effort, and then you can get them in whatever color you want. How do you fund a hobby like this? I assume they're not cheap. Ballet is not cheap. Ballet is expensive. My point shoes are $142. My tights, ballet tights, are $17+ a pair. Leotards on the cheaper end are like $35 to $40, and on the more expensive end, Suffolk Gainer Minden can be like $85. I think my leotards are like $68, but you can get some really, Yumiko are $100 a leotard. Like, ballet is not expensive, and it would not have been feasible for me to do this to this level as a child in my family. So if you're gonna start ballet, it may be expensive when you get to a certain level. It does not have to be expensive though. You can go to your ballet class in a pair of black leggings and a t-shirt. You'll be fine. You can take your first ballet class in a pair of socks. You don't need ballet slippers, even though ballet slippers aren't too expensive. They're probably like $28, but like your flat shoes, your canvas shoes. But like ballet doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go on point if you don't want to, or you can go on point and specifically request to be fitted in a shoe that's less expensive if they'll do that for you. You know, they probably will. They'll be like, this is my budget, this is my foot, what can you do for me? So like adult hobbies don't have to be expensive. You can budget, or you can make your hobby match your budget, and that's okay. There are plenty of girls that show up to my studio for technique classes and they just do, you know, flat ballet slippers, black leggings, black tank top, hair in a bun, ready to go. And that's fine. You gotta do what works for you. For me, my money goes to bills and then ballet. And after that, plane tickets if I have. What point shoes do you wear? They look stunning. Again, currently I wear the block elegance, and previously I did the block stretch point, and I'll probably rotate between the two because the elegance is more expensive. So we'll see. You're so cute. I want to do ballet so bad, but I have 2 left feet and 0 flexibility. I'm also afraid of being the only plus size girl. I am normally the only plus size girl at every studio I've been to. Every studio I've been to, I'm probably the largest girl in the studio, and that's okay. There needs to be more people out there that look like us that do what we want to do. Do what you want to do. Like, body size is not an indication of ability at all, right? And having 2 left feet, ballet will teach you how to do whatever you need to do. Having 0 flexibility, my ballet class, we stretch every class. You will gain your flexibility there. You're not expected to go into any sport or hobby already having all the tools, already knowing how to do everything, already being the best of the best. You're going to learn. So just take the chance, take the opportunity, go in. Yeah, you're gonna be unflexible for a little bit. I don't have a split. I don't have a high heel stretch. I don't have anything like that. You go in and you work on it, and with consistency, you'll get there. Those people that have it either have natural flexibility or have been working on it for a long time. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry about it. Just go and see if you enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, maybe go back. Do us curvy ladies go through more point shoes than non-curvy ladies do? I have wondered that for a while. To my understanding, no. So there is another currently plus size, or like I'll say bigger girl, we're about the same size, at my studio. And she goes through, maybe she's had her point shoes, and her point shoes lasted her a couple months. They just have lasted her a long time, whatever brand of shoe she's using. I think currently she's doing a Grishko, and previously she was in a block, and they lasted her like 2 or 3 months each pair. I go through shoes relatively quickly, again, because I have really bendy ankles, really mobile feet, strong feet, all that kind of stuff. Different people are gonna go through point shoes at different speeds because of things you can't control. My feet also don't sweat. My feet don't sweat. And another thing that breaks down your point shoes really quickly is sweat. That moisture disintegrates the glue in the point shoe, and that's what causes it to kind of break down and soften. And my feet don't sweat, but I have really strong feet, so I kill point shoes relatively quickly. I wouldn't say like inordinately quickly. I do only use 2 pairs a month, but like every 2 weeks or so, I need a new pair of shoes. And I don't think that's like weight related. I know some girls that go through shoes even faster than me, and some girls who can keep shoes forever. I think it depends on your foot strength, how often you're dancing, the particular model of shoe you're wearing, and its features, all that kind of stuff. Another thing that's gonna make my shoe break down a little bit faster is that it's a split sole model. So the shank is attached differently inside and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know, that's what I've been told, that's what I think. It doesn't really matter your size so much. I guess if you're a certain size, it might do, but that's something your fitter might tell you. They might be like, oh, this shoe is not going to last as long as this shoe. For example, those Grishko stream points for me are not gonna last as long as somebody else's just because of the way my feet are. It just killed them. Okay, let's actually do my eyebrows really quickly. Recently I changed my eyebrow shape. It used to be a little bit more angled, and now tail is more rounded. I think it's making my face a little softer, which I like. What do you think? Wait, don't judge it, we're not done. We gotta fluff the brows a little bit. A little bit. Okay. Okay, that's better. What do we think? And a bit of brow gel. I'm one of those people that like, yeah, I'll say people, because some guys do their brows. I'm one of those people that like, unless I force myself to put my brow stick down, I will like hyperfixate on them being as even as possible. And they actually look more natural and better if they're not like 100% symmetrical. So I have to yell at myself and be like, put that down. Okay, I'm gonna use the ColourPop Double Entendre palette. It's peachy and orangey, and do just like, I don't know, lazy girl eyeshadow whilst we wrap up the last few questions. What do you wear in your point shoes? So in my point shoes, I tape. I use like foam medical tape. It's like really thin, but it has like a slight cushion on it, and I tape my big toes. And that's just because my toenail shape is square. My natural nail shape is like relatively square. So, yeah, relatively square. And that's just gonna kind of helps my nails from like bending and breaking like mid-nail. And that's a hack I learned. And currently I've been taping my pinky toes because I'm getting blisters on the outside of my toe. Yeah, and I think that's from my toe pads actually. I think there's like something scratchy in my toe pads. So I just tape the outside of my big toe or my little toes and do like a full taping of my big toes. I don't need a spacer or anything like that. My feet are really compressible, meaning like if you squeeze the joint, they get like smaller. How do can I show this to you? There, they're like this. Or if I squeeze the joint, they get smaller. So if you squeeze my foot, my toes like smush. So I wear normally like a relatively narrow point shoe as well. And then I put in just my customized toe pads. That's it, nothing major. I also put a strip of KT tape on my heel from my heel up the back of my Achilles, about mid-calf, just for additional Achilles support, especially on my left leg, the one that I wear the leg warmer on. Black swan or white swan? I'm a white swan, white act girly. I would want to be white swan. I wouldn't want to be Odile. I'm an Odette girl. What is your ideal ballet role? Jemima Puddle Duck. I've said this a few times in my studio. I've said this to my ballet teacher. I think the Jemima Puddle Duck little entrance portion is so adorable. It looks so fun. You're wearing a big duck costume. You just get to wiggle. Like, I've never been the type of person that wants to practice to play the game, and like I don't want to rehearse for a show. I just like the work of it. Like I just like the work for the work's sake. Like I want to go to practice. I don't necessarily want to play a game. So I mean I am an Odette girly. Like I'm not an Odile girly. I am an Odette girly, but I also like don't want to just be me on stage. I'd much rather be in the corps de ballet where if I mess up no one can tell. And the beauty of Jemima Puddle Duck is that you're just like in this huge costume and it's just like your little feet out there. There's like, I don't know, no judgment for doing poorly. Like no one even knows it's you. I don't know. And it's just a super cute variation in my opinion. Oh, the other one I want is Cinderella. Sorry, I'm wrong. Aurora. When Aurora comes out, her entrance is of Sleeping Beauty. It's so pretty, and you'll see me do it. Like I do these all the time in class because I think her is so pretty. She's just so ethereal and graceful and beautiful. So if I had to do a solo, I'd want to be her, but like she also has that Sleeping Beauty, the balances. So who knows, one day maybe I'll attempt the variation or like a modified version of that variation. What is your favorite variation? We just discussed that. So Jemima, Puddle Duck, Aurora and Sleeping Beauty, her like party entrance, or Giselle. I think Giselle Act 1 is super fun. That like girly, girlish, youthful like entrance. Looks is so much fun. How do you break in your point shoes? I don't. I have one pair of shoes that I have butchered with the approval, consent, and recommendation of my teacher. I 3/4 their shank, but normally in my block or other shoes, I don't break them in. Maybe a little bit, I'll step on the box if I need them a smidge wider, but again, my feet are really compressible, so if I widen them at the beginning, they'll be too wide once they're fully like broken in, fully workable. But yeah, the shoes I wear now, the Elegance, let's see, when I wore the Victory, when I wore the Balance European, all that, I didn't really do much of anything to them. I just sew them and put them on. And sometimes I'll also scratch up the tip of the box. If the fabric, satin, whatever, the tip, if it's really slippery, I'll like scratch it up so there's more texture there. But that typically ends up ripping up that platform anyway, and then you just have to cut it off. So currently, nothing. I don't do anything to my shoes. I put them on. I sew them and I put them on. A lot of the people that do, oh, this is a Revolution highlight stick thing that I just put around my eyes. A lot of the people that do intense modifications to their shoes will be professionals because they need their shoes to feel like they've been dancing in them for days right away. Whereas I have the time to suffer through the first few roll throughs or plies or whatever, the first class or two in my point shoes. I will typically take 2 classes. Yeah, 1 or 2 classes in my shoes, and then after that I will jet glue them, which is like a super thin, quick drying super glue, and I will jet glue the inside and the corners on the inside of the box where the majority of the pressure is. And then maybe before I sew a new pair, I'll jet glue them one more time because they'll probably be a little bit dead by then, and they'll get rotated into the dead shoe position. So no real modifications, just sewing, maybe stepping on the box, and jet glue. Last setting spray, a little bit more chapstick. Oh. And that same color I used on my cheeks, I'm going to use on my lips if I can figure out where I put it. Oh, the last question. Tights over or tights under? Under. I'm a tights under girly. I just think the way my body is, it looks better. I get a more streamlined leotard, and I'm wearing a skirt anyway, so no one's gonna see it, and it's just like, it's not like I'm changing leotards multiple times a day or needing to change my tights multiple times a day, like getting really sweaty in them. So tights under. I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's everything. Those are all the questions, and I am ready. This is our makeup for the day. I don't know if this bathroom light is doing justice to it because I think it's making my eyes look really red. Let's go to a different room. What about in here? This is my bedroom. Okay, so yeah, those are all the questions. We've got some natural light. I don't know, I just look pale. It's that time of year. Anyway, if you have any more questions that I didn't address, please write them down below. I'll try to do a part 2 if you have something, or if there's something you want to know about adult ballet that was not covered in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the questions that I get over on TikTok, all the support for an adult plus size dancer, and all the comments I get about people or from people saying like I've inspired them to dance, or they're encouraged to dance because there are other girls like me in the studio, or that they're less worried about being the only bigger girl in the studio because I've done it. Like, that's the whole point of the TikTok. Like, it used to be a book talk where I just talked about the books I read, and now it's become a ballet talk because there are so many of you out there leaving me amazing comments and follows and support. So thank you so much for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I promise I'm going to be trying to post more videos, specifically more ballet videos, since that seems to be what people want. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!